Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Championship Series Canada. We are here where we just casted a game where Scarlet took out Estoji 2-1. We're moving over into the loser bracket where Slush is taking on Hendralisk. Now, I've played Hendralisk before. I've played Slush before. Both of them very, very potent players. I can't wait to see what we have in store for us. It is another ZVZ.
Yeah. Again, guys, 16 out of 13 players are Zergs in the Canadian WCS. And so no surprise. It's because they are, I think, the better of the talent pool. There's a lot of other Protoss players like Atero, and I know other people play here from Protoss. And there's not that many Terrans, though, and it just seems that there's a little bit struggling. But nonetheless, we are here casting this ZVZ between Slush and Hendralisk. Now, I believe this is the lower bracket, right, Andre?
Mm-hmm. It is the low. Ooh. Hendralisk forgot his settings, so false alarm.
Yes, this is the losers bracket round 3. The winner of this would go on to play either Tubby the Fat or Goma, depending on how things play out.
But that being said, we're just going to get Hendralisk back in. You know, Slush has been one of these underrated players for eons, I feel like. He was top 16 MLG throughout all of 2011. And I think even into the beginning of 2012, if I'm not mistaken. No, I think not 2012, excuse me, because that was the where you actually have to qualify in that team arenas. Not team arenas.
You're talking about Slush's performance in MLG?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said he hasn't. Okay, yeah, no. Slush did well in 2011, where he, I think the highest he placed was 6th, I want to say something like that, but he plays pretty high.
Yeah.
But 2012, Slush hasn't really had any kind of results that much. People have kind of actually forgot about him.
And I know part of it has to do with his counterpart being kind of AFK, and that is, of course, Kiwikaki. He's, kind of transitioned a little bit back into poker, but I know Slush has still maintained that desire for StarCraft 2, and that's why we see him.
He's actually logged a lot of games.
Yes.
Yeah. And on ladder.
He's really, really strong right now. I know he was he was for some reason not promoted for a while in Masters. Excuse me, in Masters, I believe. So he had like a ridiculous amount of points, like 1,400.
Yeah, it was something really high.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was 1,400, but it was still
check.
insane enough.
It was something ridiculous because I was like, oh man, I got 1,000 points, and I see Root Slush with like 1,400 points. I was like, Jesus, the guy is so good. But he is now in Grandmasters. Slush, time and time again.
Yeah, he still has played a lot, and he's definitely a guy you can't underestimate. He's a guy that kind of pulls different strategies out, but I haven't seen Slush in a while, and it's always really difficult to kind of say what Slush is doing. At the same time, Hendralisk, do you know anything about this guy?
I remember playing him. I remember the name, but I don't remember the player that much, honestly. Yeah. He's just another Grandmaster. I shouldn't just say another Grandmaster, but he is a Grandmaster North American player, and obviously he has a lot of skill. We're going to see how he does against such a titan that is Root Slush.
All right, so the countdown has finished. We're going to start things off once again with Tal'Darim Altar for ZVZ, just a difficult map for anything to do. But what's really cool is we saw something really unique come out. We saw Scarlet go for a hatchery block, like choking your own natural point, just so that nothing can really, so the aggression can be held off. At the same time, Sochi did end up winning that game, but it brought a form of innovation that I haven't seen just yet, and it was really clever to see.
Yeah, I mean, that style, I've seen it once in a while, but it's obviously not a staple, I think, on a map like Tal'Darim Altar. Even though people, find innovative ways to really deal with the Sim City and how you're actually going to position all your buildings. I think that way that Scarlet did it wasn't as effective, even though I think she paid off. She should have won that game. She just lost to, I think, something really, really silly, which was, of course, the Nidus Worm. A Nidus Worm got in her base, and she just did not see it coming up. And then when you have roaches in your base and you're really relying on spine crawlers to keep you safe, obviously that's going to be a big influence and hurt her quite substantially. So right now there is a quick pause until Hendralisk can get all this stuff together.
Yeah, I'm taking this as our opportunity to shake out my wrists as well. It's been a really long day. Actually, we've been up since very early in the morning, but you know what? It's been a fantastic day. I'm really just, again, blown away by how many people come to show support, not just for NASL, but even for WCS. There's lots of people surrounding the screens because it's kind of like an MLG featured station. in that at that station you see in the bottom right corner, there's 2 screens that show their POV, and people are just lining up behind it to see those players play. And I mean, they're sitting on the floor, they're standing, they're doing anything they can just to even get room in this venue. That's how packed it is.
Yeah. And if you guys are around, definitely check it out. Obviously, the first-person view for the WCS, WCF like main matches exist, and you guys can definitely check all of that out. All of the great action. If you guys are in Canada, make sure you check it out for tomorrow. With that being said, let's talk about the builds right now, and I guess the players, and introduce them. Bottom right-hand position, we have Slush, and bottom left-hand position, we have Hendralisk. Both of them not really getting an advantage with their initial Overlord scouts. That's important to mention, but we do have a difference in builds.
Yeah, and Slush is going to go for that hatchery first. Naturally going to kind of give himself a big edge, but Slush, when he, I'm trying to think how the best way to put it, but he doesn't think a lot like other Zergs. He picks really awkward times to attack in a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's actually how he used to be kind of feared. That's why people weren't used to playing him. He was kind of like, if you didn't prepare for Slush, he'd kind of be able to beat you kind of thing. And I wonder how Hendralisk prepared for him specifically. But Hendralisk looks like he's playing a little more safer style, trying to go for a pool gas combination. And you can see at this point, just pretty much going to open up standard. How much gas will he harvest, though, after his speed is started, though?
Yeah, and, it's really important that you mentioned Slush's type of play, too, because I think that's something really important to note. Slush can be very unpredictable, in my opinion. And, he has done 15 hatches like this. Now, it's going to be a little bit noteworthy that it's not really going to matter with his unpredictability of this game, just because he went 15 hatch and he's facing like a build or a counter. So I feel like it's going to just be how well these players can execute for this beginning stage.
Yep. And it looks like Hendralisk already has that Banus halfway done. He's going to put on he has to put on a lot of aggression. There's got to be something, because Slush would just get way too far ahead. But again, this is a good map to foster that aggression, especially these spawning positions allows Hendralisk to put on aggression that much closer. That said, Slush, when should he be starting a spine crawler immediately, Andre?
Yeah,
what does he need to do at this point?
I think actually this might have been misplayed. He went 2 queens instead of going a queen and a spine crawler, especially when you know your opponent has not gotten an expansion. You need to get that static defense down ASAP. Now, I understand where his thought process is. You want to get your queens out as fast as possible, get those injects, and that gives you safety against the Zerglings. Even though you'll be cost efficient, I have a lot more stuff. I have a lot more units to be pumping out, but still, I think that's just a little bit riskier.
Yeah. So we do see that Hendralisk does have 5 Banelings trying to move in. The Smite Caller's not done, but of course Slush has 2 queens as well, trying to snipe the Banelings as best they can. And at this point, we can see that Slush's Baneless is about to finish as well, giving him the option to be defensive. But the Zerglings are now streaming in as well. Hendralisk needs to make this happen. He doesn't have a hatchery coming in behind this. Does manage to get a kind of minish around on 1 queen, but does manage to back off. And Slush has both of his queens. Now trying to target down drones, but the Baneling also detonates on just a couple of units. Picking off every drone really does matter at this point. Slush doesn't have that strong of an economy. As you can see, that Hendralisk picking up every drone is very, very diligent micro, but at the same time...
might get the queen! Yes, he will! Yeah. And the second queen, I don't think that can actually defend against it, but the spine crawler is made. Slush is going to be able to back up. At this point, Slush still does not have his speed. That's affecting him quite substantially. You can see 15 to 13, so already Slush is behind. And it's, the power of Zergling Baneling on a map like Tal'Darim Altar. This is why it's very difficult to go something like 15 hatch and be sustainable. And he's just going to constantly run units past here. He has no creep thread, so it's very difficult for him to get anything done here.
Oh, looks like Hendra's doing a good job targeting down Banelings with individual Zerglings. And you can see that, Slush, he doesn't really have too much to defend other than the queen and the spine. He's got a couple Zerglings, and you can see that Hendralisk is really trying to pick apart. He's trying to send both his Banes at the same time. Good defense though from Slush, though, having the queen and the Bane set up as a defense point. And Hendralisk does just not stop aggression. He does not want to back off until he knows he can do good enough economic damage, but Slush does connect on one of the Zergling packs. and all of a sudden Hendralisk's offensive threat is not that strong.
Yeah, I don't know why Hendralisk kept going on with this attack. As soon as that spine crawler is established, it's very difficult for you to be very cost efficient. You need a ton of banelings to just crash down and overwhelm your opponent. So the fact that he's not doing that, the fact of the matter is that he isn't taking an expansion is actually hurting him quite substantially. Look at this, a lair going down for Hendralisk. What could he possibly be thinking of? Big Zergling hit goes down, though, by Slush. He's able to stabilize, and the fact that Hendralisk did not go for an expansion hurts him incredibly. But what is he going to do with his one-base lair tech?
Yeah, he does have a couple of options from there. I mean, I can't say, because we don't usually see this kind of follow-up. Usually we see try to put on aggression, try to place down a hatchery, and as you're placing him down, get a huge drone count.
Oh, man.
Oh,
another big
a lot of
hit.
big hits is really starting to cost Hendralisk because he's not able to invest it. I've seen players like Cats go one base Infester off of Lair. I mean, we've seen Sen go one base Muta, and it's just different kinds of styles are possible, but I admit I haven't seen Hendralisk play a lot. I don't know what he's planning here.
And let's be honest, Frodan, I mean, with all those different scenarios, when have you seen the one-base play actually work? You know, it's
once
very
or
rare.
twice, and I mean it's because it's Sen who kind of makes anything work, and then there's people like Cats who just make everything work based on how the way Cats plays, right?
Yeah, Cats is a tricky guy. But let's look at the income tab. 24 to 22. Hendralisk is 2 workers behind, but remember that Slush has significantly more income just because of that only single extractor. Now, the big thing nowadays is the fact that queens are so accessible these days. You're able to get queens and defend against roach timings and muta timings. So I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, there we go, Slush just throws on additional queens just for the hell of it. I mean, why not? They keep you safe against a lot of different Zergling Baneling all-ins. You know you're up against a very threatening one-base play going into two-base, but you know your opponent is investing in something. Queens will keep you safe against everything, and it's independent of Larva. Just go ahead and get them. For now, Slush hasn't thrown down any more queens other than the initial 2. I'm actually worried now.
We see that Slush is, I mean, I don't think he has really any indication this is coming. He does see the expansion is late, but again, how much does he really know what his opponent's doing? You see the Mutalists are not, actually they're just starting right now, but what's the big thing is that you can't make that many mutas because even if you do, what's your follow-up from that point from Hendralisk? Because it's going to be really tough. Slush is going to have to hold anything on the ground, and all he has to really do is focus on these mutas. If Slush shuts them down, he shuts down any attempt of a comeback. That said, though, mutas are a great way to try to come back into the game if you can really utilize them.
This push is perfect. It basically says, what are you going? It'll give an indicator for everything. Because if you don't go units, then obviously the Zerglings are going to get in. If you do go get units, your units are going to be shown. I love everything about this. Slush is going to keep his Zerglings all the way around here, threatening that counterattack. So the minute Hendralisk leaves, all of a sudden he feels my mutas are out of place, and he might go for the back attack, try to exchange like this, but it'll be difficult because there is the potential for Slush to have those queens out. Now he doesn't. We know that only 2 queens out on the field. His drone's getting cleaned up, but look at his Zerglings. He's been doing a lot of damage back at Hendralisk's home.
Well, a good number of workers were cleaned up by these Mutalists, but we do see again, like I said, trying to pick off the Queen. That Queen drops is such a huge instrumental part of his economy. You can see the Queen's now also trying to focus on the Mutas back at home for Slush. Nice transfuse just to make sure to keep it alive, and Hendralisk's aggression will be thrown off for now.
Yeah, nice job by Hendralisk, actually. 24 to 23 workers. I'm actually really surprised. And that really shows you the power of the Queens. Not only have they backed the Mutas out, but if you just massed up in Queens before, I think he would have been just taking the game right there. But taking that many losses really hurt him, put him far behind, and now the game is even. If anything, Hendralisk might be ahead. Let's look at that. 20 workers killed. Are you kidding me?
That's actually huge. But Slush has still been droning behind these non-stop and really trying to see if he can claw his way back. And now he knows that there's not much saturation at his opponent's base because even though he had that hatchery still go up, he forced a lot of larvae. So he's got a lot of supply in his army, but if Slush can hold out, he will be in a pretty decent position. Now he's getting his lair wrapping up just about now. that said, where does Hendralisk go from here? He can't really break Slush. I mean, he can't really commit to a huge attack, and if he does, it's very risky because there's a lot of banelings being made from Slush. And you know what? I was asking about a follow-up transition, but Hendralisk looks like he's just going to go for more aggression.
Yeah, and this is really interesting. Hendralisk obviously not opting to go into later game stages. Zerglings are rallying on in. The main progression from this is actually to go double upgrade Infestors, because you have a long time where your mutas are just being countered for the beginning part. Infestors or Hydras are on the way out, and then you're able to get that 1, 2, 3 minute time. We can just invest it completely into gas. Here we go. The big attack coming in here. Banelings are all together. Oh my god, they all explode on Slush's units. A lot of Banelings were lost needlessly, and look at this. Slush doesn't have an answer to these mutas and Zerglings. He's losing every single drone.
Slush
over here
traded
at the natural.
like 7 Banelings for 2 or 3. It was very poor trade indeed, and he clumped everything up by his geyser. That was so brutal. If Slush was able to detonate on the Zerglings instead and kind of spread things out, different ball game. Mutas would have been able to deal with everything, but Slush now can't deal with it. And Hendralisk is the one being able to do everything, and this aggression from Hendralisk is just too much. Slush is losing a huge amount of economy, and you can see reinforcements are too many. GG.
Hendralisk takes the first game with a very interesting one-base play into pseudo 2-base, but we were talking before, how many times does that actually work? It worked here at the WCS Canada Finals. Really, really surprising play coming out from him. Coming out from both the players, I would say.
Yep, so looks like we will wait for Slush to pick the next map, of course. We've seen Antigua Shipyard and Shakur's Plateau picked in the previous years for ZVZ. I'll be honest, I don't know the best maps for ZVZ. This season I've been playing exclusively Terran and trying to. Next season I'm definitely going to be focusing on Zerg though, and I can't wait to see more of the matchup. But I don't know based off this map pool what's really good for ZVZ in terms of dynamics there. Yeah, so we'll have to see what they choose.
I think it comes down to just stylistic preferences and you know, obviously what kind of game you like to play. I think a map like, let me think, Shakur's Plateau is the perfect example of someone that likes to play that 2-base style, at least 2-base style, but then the third base, we were talking about it earlier, the third base gets a little bit trickier, so you have to be a lot more, I guess, innovative in that map. Whereas you have the very standard, like, clearly macroing is the best way to go. Like, let's say Antigua Shipyard, where it's easy to get that third base, and the fact that it's so easy gives the power to just drone up, get a lot of units, and no matter what tech switch you're doing, I'm going to be able to just overpower you and crush you. So, you know, I mean, it's stylistic, whatever you like to do. Let's go ahead and go into our next game, which is going to be Daybreak.
What did you just say? Daybreak?
Daybreak.
It's Daybreak.
It is Daybreak. Let me go ahead and invite Hendralisk right now.
All right, let me get these players in, Andre. Give me 1 second.
Okay, so what does Daybreak actually accomplish? Well, it is a map where normally we see 15 hatches just because you're so far away from your opponent. Now, there is the potential for 6 pool, so that could obviously ruin 15 hatch, but I'm most likely going to see a 15 hatch coming out from both these players and then transitions onward. Now, because it's so open, because you can easily see where your opponent is going with the 2 ramps on the top middle and the bottom middle, you can actually just take your third rather easily. And that sounds weird, but it's because you can always have positioning with your units. Overlords and Overlord coverage is key in actually getting your expansions up. And once you're able to establish that, you're in a good, strong place. Now, I don't think mutas are too good on this map, even though there is a thought process of, well, if I go mutas, I can actually just take map control, and then it empowers my units quite substantially. But it's because the mutas come out so slow, queens are a lot stronger, that we won't actually see this. And you can't punish a person too much for going a quick 3 hatcheries. That sounds weird, but it's the fact that you can just rely on your opponent being so far away from you and reacting to it that you can actually stop any ground force and rely on Spore Queen to defend against mutas.
And so we're waiting for Hendralisk to come into the game. Thank you for that explanation, by the way, Andre. You know, it's just weird because ZVZ is it's like a matchup that either people like or hate. You know, and what are your opinions? Do you like the matchup at all?
I actually like it. I mean, before in the beta it started zerging Baneling off of 1 base, and that's all you did.
Yeah,
like that's all you did. And then it just turned into +1 timings, and that was like the OP thing. Now it's getting really interesting with the use of infestors. I know, infestors have always been used, but the way people choose to fungal or infested Terran, where they're going to do it, the harass that goes with the infested Terran, and the new style, which is the Ultralisk. Normally people say Ultras are complete garbage. And, for a while I tended to agree. And now we see them be very successful in all matchups, ZVP, ZVT, ZVZ, so long as the opponent's army composition isn't strictly geared to killing something like Ultras. They've been really, really successful. So I hope to see actually Ultras being circulated into this game today.